Wake up to serious sports talk.
Kyle Melo joins us now. Kyle, the Ticats could be forgiven for overlooking tonight's game.
Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
So Jeremiah Masoli has talked about it all week, about the fact that they didn't start well. They needed to change that. Jeremiah wasn't also happy with the, happy with the 300. Sorry, give me a sec.
Sure, absolutely.
Welcome back. It is Marsh and Melo right here for you. I have clips here. I was trying to isolate just that because it's my favorite noise that's ever come out of your mouth, Kyle. Is you going? Jeremiah Masoli has talked about. You run out of oxygen.
It was coming.
I have things labeled here. Melo cough 1. Oh yeah, it is. Wow, it actually is the clips that I was looking for. Hey, here we go. Okay, so that's the.
That was the warning shot.
It's like you getting into a fight with yourself. Just close your eyes, everybody out there, and imagine Melo just taking punches to the gut from himself. Oh, no, that's wrong. I can do that forever. That just makes me happy. All right, let's
That's like getting hit in the nut shot.
Yeah, that is. I'm trying to see.
Super Juicy Sports.
I have so many good clips of you. I don't know why I isolated some of these things. You saying Super Juicy Sports apparently is in here. This one's labeled Marsh Jurassic Park Philosophy.
Hey, you came here for the dinosaurs? Well, guess what? We've got them.
Why did I say that? Jurassic Park Philosophy.
Hey, you came here for the dinosaurs? Well, guess what? We've got them.
Melo pantless job interviews.
I did multiple job interviews with no pants on.
Sorry, give me a sec.
Sure, absolutely.
We need to just play more of these. Marsh dance clown, dance monkey.
Dance clown! Dance monkey!
What did I used to do on radio? We finished the show and I clipped like little things that made no sense. And then, at least we have them in the iTunes now. Let's get into a little bit here on the Canadian Football League. The return to play, it sounds really positive, man. It really does. I would say since we did our last show, it sounded more positive than I can remember at any point since the beginning of the pandemic. And Bob Young honestly deserves a lot of the credit for that, for being front-facing, even if you disagree with the fact that he's saying, we are making, because there was this whole interaction that happened on social media where there was an insider who came out in the 3 Down Nation article, that's the anonymous comments on whatever, and they said, you see Bob Young coming out and being so brash that they're going to play. That's Young and the Ticats organization being tired of other people in the CFL not wanting to play. And chief amongst them, everybody says, is the MLSE-led Toronto Argonauts and the Montreal Alouettes, who have the new ownership group, who obviously they don't want to lose more money than they're already going to. So you can see where the motivation would come from for those two teams in the East to not want to play. Plus, they know the Ticats are better than them this year. Like, the roster is better. The Ticats are probably going to win the East, which is probably why they don't want to play this year, because they know they're not going to win the East. But regardless of that, the quote comes out, this anonymous person says, that's why Bob Young's lashing out. And Bob Young said, no, we're doing it in response to the pessimistic or negative media comments. And then Arash Madani gets involved and he says, oh, it's the media's fault that you didn't play last year, I bet then too. Oh, did the media report the 2019 Grey Cup final properly, Bob? Like, he just randomly went after Bob Young for criticizing the media. So if you're on Arash's side with that stuff, because you think that he attacked the media unnecessarily, sure, whatever. If you're on Bob Young's side because you think the media has been unfair to the return to play in the CFL, sure, whatever. I don't really care. The point I'm making here is, how many other owners are on social media actively saying, we're playing football in 2021? And it totally matches with what Scott Mitchell, the CEO of the Ticats and Forge FC, said months ago, where Scott Mitchell came out and made this statement of, we will play football in 2021, as we were in the middle of a third wave. He came out and made that statement. And when he did, I went, whoa, man, Scott Mitchell doesn't say that unless he knows that.
Yeah.
And he was obviously backed and given that confidence, not just by his own understanding of the situation, but by the fact that he's got an owner and the caretaker who is saying to him, we're playing. We are absolutely playing. So I don't think it's just the Ticats that should be given credit for this. There's a lot of other factors. But there's no team being out in front of this as much as the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now. And Bob Young and Scott Mitchell deserve credit for giving fans hope. And there was a small part of me, and when I saw the initial kind of brash, we are playing. I was like, what if this is just one of those weird ticketing plays where you say we're playing because we're hosting the Grey Cup, buy your Grey Cup tickets now, and if we don't play the Grey Cup, we'll give you your money back minus the deposit. Like I didn't know if it was going to be one of those. So I was a little sketched out by it. But now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing the cases drop. I'm seeing the vaccination numbers, and I'm going, no, I think they said that because they knew, like they saw what was coming. And I think that it's worth applauding the fact that they're actually out in front of it, because how many people have been out in front of this across the CFL landscape telling fans, get ready, we're playing.
Yeah. And it's weird because some of the doubt from CFL fans on whether or not the season's going to get off the ground are certain members in the media. And like you said, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment and the Toronto Argonauts, at least that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
That they're pushing against this and they're pro merger or whatever the case may be with the XFL. I think it's up to Randy Ambrosie. And again, this is a slippery slope for him to walk down, to kind of piss off owners now, right? Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, make them be on an island in terms of pro XFL merger. Or unless you're in that camp as well and you want to partner with the XFL because you think the CFL is that desperate enough to go down that road. And you need to tell fans, hey, we're getting off the ground. We're having a season. And anybody that's not on board, fine, you don't have to play, right? XFL, you want to merge with football teams in Canada? You can merge with the weakest team in our country. And that's the Toronto Argonauts from a business, standpoint. And obviously the Montreal Alouettes, maybe BC Lions. But the Toronto Argonauts, when people have power rankings of business models for teams, Toronto's probably 8th or 9th on everybody's power ranking. So that's where I'm coming at it from. It's time to start putting pressure on people that don't want to be involved with the CFL. If you don't want to be involved, move on. Sell, your stake in the league and stake in that team. For Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, realize where their business is right now. The Toronto Raptors didn't make the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they look like they're about to go on a run in the playoffs, and they can't cash in on that because no fans are allowed in the building. They can't even have Maple Leaf Square open, right? Like they can't make any money off of that. And you look at Toronto FC. Oh, they're not playing in Canada either. The only team in Toronto that's making money right now, and I'm talking about attendance money, is Rogers and the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are making money down in Florida, right? They're still charging money for people to go to those games.
When
I don't
are
know
they
how much
moving
money
to
that
Buffalo?
is.
When are they going to Buffalo? Because I saw them.
I think in a month.
I saw them getting it ready, and I had no idea what the timeline has been.
Well, the state of New York is ready to go. You see the New York Knicks at MSG. Yeah. They have a packed arena. The Buffalo Bills have joined 29 other NFL teams to say, hey, we're going to have full stadiums in September for NFL season. I think there's only 2 teams, the Broncos and the Colts, that have said, whoa, let's wait on the full stadiums. Like they're not going to jump on board and announce it just yet. But North America, we're ready to go. And for the CFL as well. I'm going to be really pissed off if we're in August and we're not allowed at least 50% capacity in the stadium. Like
personal disclosure, I want to watch the Buffalo Bills.
Sorry, I just think that it stepped all over your toes there, Kyle. I thought you
were No, it's okay. Cuomo is he's in some hot water. So he's been in hot water for a while, and now he's about to go into a New York governor race again. So
is he still the governor after everything that came out about that?
Yeah, he's still the governor. He is not stepping down. That dude is, you got to realize his father was the governor. He feels like that seat was made for him. And he, a couple allegations, as horrible as they are, they're not going to push him off of that. Like they're going to have to beat him in the polls. Even if somebody had a video of him, doing something nefarious, he would rerun for governor, even if he had to do it as an independent, and he will go out on his sword and try to and have to lose an election for him to lose that seat.
Yes, I do want to watch the Bills.
There you go. All right, let's get into this clip that I promised you from Jamie Elizondo, the head coach of the EE football team. I love this because I've been thinking about it recently. Like, what are we going to end up seeing when it comes to training camps? Because I don't really know what to expect at this point. I do know that it's going to be weird as hell for those guys around the league to get ready, but what is the approach going to be? It's Morley Scott from 630 Ched with Jamie Elizondo here for you.
An official date for it yet, but we know it's coming. how are you going to treat training camp this year? I know coaches, they plan almost down to the minute for training camp, especially for on the field activities. This is going to be a different training camp because you're going to have a bunch of players who haven't played football in a long time. And not only have they not played football, they haven't been able to work out properly either because of the pandemic. How much are you changing things because of that?
Yeah, great question, Morley. And I think we're going to see a couple different scenarios with players. I think there's really three scenarios in terms of players. Some players are going to come in great shape, feeling the best that they've ever felt in their careers just because of the time off. There's going to be some players that don't come in the shape that you'd expect them to football-wise. And then the third one is really the challenge that's going to be the biggest one is, and you hit the nail on the head, you cannot recreate football speed in your training, right? The sudden change of direction. It's different when the body knows when it's going to do something, when it's going to transition, than when it reacts in that transition. So the challenge for us is going to be seeing how many soft tissue injuries we get, based on the fact that guys haven't played for a year and a half. The second.
So that clip I found super interesting, Kyle, because he's talking about soft tissue injuries and trying to get your body to react to being in football shape when you've been away from it for longer than a lot of these guys have been in their adult lives. And my thinking on that immediately was, well, usually a CFL training camp, we blame it for being too short. And that's why we don't end up having anybody get actual action and get themselves ready for the season. Yeah. And then we have a couple of weird injuries to start off the year in the CFL because nobody gets real live reps in the preseason that matters. Then I started looking at the actual dates, and reportedly it's a July 10 start date of training camp, wrapping on July 31st. So now we're going from what has previously been a week and a couple of days of preseason with 2 games jammed in there with 6 or 7 days on the field for practicing and getting all the systems installed. We're going from that to a 21-day training camp, and that's a good thing because that means guys are going to have time to reacclimate themselves and get used to being in football shape. But my main thought was how many hamstrings, how many calves, how many groins, how many shoulders, how many pulled chest muscles, how many. I just started thinking about all the soft tissue stuff because training camp is a grind at any point in your career, whether it's 10 days or if it's 21. But when you go from what guys are used to in the CFL with the short training camps and you barely play in the preseason to 21 days, that camp, that length after this wait, I really think it's going to be a bloodbath. I just feel like there's going to be so many guys who are going to get dinged. And I'm not saying that they should shut it down and keep the camp shorter because then we're just going to go the other way, right? Like we talked off the top, we would just play the result and we would say, well, it's too short. They're going to get hurt when they start the season. But the idea of weeding out the guys who aren't ready in the preseason or in the training camp that's extended before they can get to the regular season is a bit morbid. It's a crazy situation to throw players into after such a long time away from it.
The fact of extended training camps, for me, it's a moot point. It really is. And again, I'm not looking at this from a player's perspective, but what does it matter if a player goes down in training camp or goes down week 2 of the CFL season?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care, right? Like, you're still not on the field. You're still injured. Is it going to lead to more injuries? I don't know. We'll see. That remains to be seen. For me, I think the extended training camp is something that maybe the CFL players need because they haven't played football in so long. And it's all these people on, social media. And again, I railed against social media because it's not a good representation of actual CFL fans and what they think. I've already seen some people complain about the length of the preseason, or even in the NFL, length of preseason, length of training camp.
It's a month in the NFL. It's a month every year.
Guess what? It's not for you. I hate to tell you people this. The preseason is not for you. If you don't like preseason football, guess what? You don't have to watch. You don't have to watch a second of preseason football. It's not for you. It's for coaches. As crazy as coaches want to be in terms of, scouting players and who's going to make a 53-man roster, it's not for you. It's for them. I hate to tell people that. It's the same thing in the NHL too. After the John Tavares thing, they're like, why did Foligno have to fight Perry? Guess what? They decided that was the way to settle it on the ice. It's not for you. It doesn't matter what you think. It matters about the two guys on the ice.
Did you
and
just
the
go
guys on the ice?
You just went full rock on me. It doesn't matter what you think.
No, it doesn't. And like, I love the distant fan that watches a game and says, I don't like that. I'm going to go on Twitter in 140 characters. I'm going to give my opinion on this about how toxic masculinity in hockey because these guys had to fight. Guess what? They police the game themselves. It doesn't matter. Like, even in hockey, they're like, oh, why do we need fighting? Guess what? Fights still happen in the NBA. They've seen flat-out fist fights in the NBA happen. Serge Ibaka, when he played for the Raptors, it seemed every month he was chucking fists with somebody. Like, it happens. It is competition. So, like, back to my point about, like, the CFL, it's not for you. It's for the athletes there. And if the athletes don't want to be involved, tell your Players Association rep that the preseason's too long. Training camp is too long. And go to the negotiation table about it. I'm pretty sure the CFL is not going to die on the training camp hill where it's like, oh, training camps need to be this long. They don't care. It's for the players. It was set up for the players. And if the players think it's too long, then so be it. But fans yelling about, oh, preseason's too long or this is too long, ridiculous.
After a pandemic and everything the CFL fans have waited for, will they sell out preseason football games in
probably
like Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, and Hamilton? I just feel like people will be so excited to go watch the live sporting event again. I was standing inside of the arena in St. Catharines. I got my vaccine and I was like, hey, this is what the inside of a sporting arena looks like. Man, this is cool. We should come back to these more often. I'm looking forward to coming back to these things, but